Welcome to AJ's Akashic Advice. I'm your host, AJ Johnzak. Beginning with this session, we're going to share information regarding the Akashic Records, one of my favorite subjects of all times, as well as answer your questions that you may have with advice from the records. Today we're going to start with the basics. What are the Akashic Records? And how and why would I want to use them? Great questions. The Akashic Records have been spoken of since ancient times in many ways, and often called the Book of Life, the Tree of Life, the Book of Wisdom, Book of All Knowing. Every major religious text mentions the Akashic Records as a collection of wisdom and personal experiences that transcend that human idea we have, time and space. Think of the Akashic Records as a huge energy field with many dimensions. It's not a specific place. The records are always accessible. They're fast, and they deliver information beneficial to navigating life on planet Earth. We chose this Earth for a reason, for the vast variety of experiences. Now we have to figure out how to navigate that. They contain all past, future, present, and in between life experiences, options, choices, talents, careers, loves, losses, contracts, vows, karma, positive and negative, and the list goes on and on. Imagine how many twists and turns our stories have taken since we first incarnated on this planet. Imagine entering a massive library, which, by the way, is often an image employed when talking about the records. Now imagine walking into that massive library and you ask yourself, where do I start? I don't even know what I'm looking for. Whether you choose to access the records out of curiosity, seeking awareness on perhaps some challenge in your life, or seeking transformation in your life, there is something here for you in the records. All of your soul stories are in the Akashic Records. And regardless of whether you access those records on your own or through your favorite tarot or oracle reader, your favorite past life regressionist, hypnotist, medium, all the information is coming from the same place. It's coming from the Akashic Records in the various dimensions in the etheric field. By the way, all those services we offer Inspired Chi, and we're blessed to know a variety of healers that we can also recommend. Now, the records are a repository of universal knowledge, experience, wisdom, choices, and results. So you'll see your soul families, you'll see the connections with other people that are in your current incarnation, and it's all accessible to you. Now, it can seem daunting to access the records, but with a little practice and knowing how to ask an effective question, you can have an amazing experience. One question you may be asking yourself right now is, well, if I can do this on my own, why do I need to pay somebody to read my records? It's a great question, and I can answer it in one word. Ego. Ego. When we're in the records asking questions for ourselves, we can immediately get off track as soon as we start. Within the records, we may get stuck on the very first image that we say, believing, yes, I knew it. I knew that was the answer I was looking for. But the first image we see, the first word we hear, the first sensation, that's just the beginning of the story. As with any conversation with a trusted friend, That's how the Akashic Records are to me. You don't simply say, give me a yes or no answer. Like any conversation with a good friend, there's a give and take back and forth. Let's face it, some of our best friends are those who give us the answer we don't want to necessarily hear when we want to stay stuck for a variety of reasons in a situation. Sometimes we don't like those people in the moment because they didn't agree with us, but we love them eventually when we remember they wanted what's in our highest good. So when we enter the records, we will receive a sense of information in a variety of ways. Some people are more visual than auditory. Some people will feel a sensation or a sense of knowing the images, words, symbols, sensations, etc., that are presented. We're given that first piece of the answer. And as humans, with our ego, we want to immediately analyze that. We want to fit it into a box, some box that makes sense, and say, okay, great, now I know what, great, I was right all along. Remember, though, you're not given the answer to a riddle up front. The answer comes later, at the end. In a great mystery from Agatha Christie, we don't know who the killer is until the end. We're meant to go through the whole story, see all the nuances, details of information of all the characters involved in the story, including our own, and then use our discernment and free will to understand those nuances and motivations of all the characters and come to the logical conclusion. Hint, it's seldom the butler, really. Sometimes there's not even a butler in the story. I'll give you an example of how our ego can lead us astray and why a guided session with somebody like the folks from Inspired Chi may be more beneficial. Let's start with a common question. How can I move past my broken relationship? Anybody ever had a broken relationship? I thought so. If you go into the records on your own, rather than using someone trained to guide you, and ask, records, how do I move past this? Subconsciously, you may be thinking, I don't really want to move past it. I really want him or her or them to come back. Is there a way that this can work out? Please, please. Well, what if the first image that comes up is showing you and your beloved standing in front of an altar after getting married? In all reality, all ego-based reality, would you not be thinking, oh, maybe I'm just supposed to hang in there for a while longer, and we're going to end up getting married and living happily ever after? Wouldn't you find yourself perhaps stopping right there and then, because that's the answer you've really wanted for so long? It's valuable to have information channeled for you or that helps guide you through to finding the answers that you seek, because the records remain unbiased and always are shown through the filter of compassion. A reader like myself will continue to look deeper and say, well, what does that image tell me? And perhaps the next thing I would see would be an image of rainfall. And a channeled reader might say, well, what does that image mean? And perhaps I'm reminded of a saying my old Irish relatives always used, which was, married in sunshine, buried in rain. Okay. I'm sure lots of other grandmothers and great-grandmothers have said something like that. But what the heck does a funeral have to do with this lovely scene I'm looking at? Perhaps that image, along with some more digging into the records, and that phrase, married in sunshine, buried in rain, is indicating that it's best to move on from this relationship so that you can move into the relationship that's in your highest good and the highest good of all involved. Information is accessed in any number of ways. There are times that a phrase or an image comes up and keeps repeating, 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 and I'll share that information with you. I've learned long ago, the information doesn't need to make sense to me. It needs to be felt by you. There are times when I'll have a physical emotion, physical feeling, and I'll be able to actually send you that information, share that information with you, because it's what your soul is trying to share. It's always interesting to see how the Akashic Records give us information. Regardless of how the information comes, an image, a word, a feeling, a sensation, a color, a sound, of music, it's always through the filter of compassion, always, always, always. The records are not here like some permanent school record to show you that you were not prepared for gym class because you forgot your sneakers in 4th grade and it's still on your record. The Akashic Records don't care about that. The Akashic Records are not going to remind you that you acted out in Sunday school when you were 4. And ever since, the family story has been that you like to call attention to yourself and that you're dramatic. Your records don't put you down for some childish or childlike behavior. Don't put you down for decisions you made as a teenager or a young 20-something, a young 30-something, a young 40-something, a young 50-something. Well, you get the point. Everybody seems young to me these days. But you know what? The Akashic Records feel young to me. They feel energetic and they feel full of health and full of life and full of wonderful decisions that we've made and the strengths that we developed to endure and overcome and that we can build on, and a history that we can look at and say, I see the wisdom in making another choice for my future that I've made in my past. They're not a place to stay stuck. They're a place to launch from. The records have a tremendous amount of wisdom for you. Perhaps it's time for you to read your own Akashic biography through a channeled reader like myself or on your own. As we go forward, we'll be continuing to answer your questions and accessing your soul's wisdom. Tune in next time for advice on how to create effective questions and have a great experience in the records. It's very important to know how to create or craft that great question. In the meantime, please send your questions to the link below, and I'll be happy to answer them. There is something here for you that can help transform your life, give you peace of mind, a better future, and honor yourself. Until the next time, great blessings, my friend. I'm AJ Johnsack from Inspired Chi.